My name is John Kuckelman, and this presentation will cover four emerging technologies in the education field. The emerging technologies discussed in this presentation were identified in the NMC Horizon Report. The purpose of the Horizon Report is to identify emerging technologies in the education field. The three emerging technologies discussed in this presentation are cloud computing, mobile learning, and learning analytics. A technology that is expected to be implemented significantly in education in the next 12 months is cloud computing. As you can see from this diagram, users from multiple school districts in disparate locations use all kinds of devices to run their applications with no knowledge of where the hardware is actually located. Using cloud computing can be much cheaper than having a dedicated staff and facilities to manage and operate school district-owned hardware and software. So this may make sense financially for the school district. Another advantage of using cloud computing is that the software and hardware are always the latest and greatest. In addition, these cloud computing vendors typically have better reliability than local school districts can provide. These vendors specialize in running systems, so they get very proficient at this. Another advantage of cloud computing is that software is typically accessed via a web browser like Internet Explorer or Firefox. It does not matter what type of device is used to run the browser. This ends the Apple versus PC debate. Some of the risks of adopting cloud computing are that there may be some restrictions on how much customization of the software a school district may be able to implement. Also, the school is completely dependent on the cloud computing vendor. If the cloud computing vendor has a problem with the hardware or software, the school may not be able to operate until the problem is resolved. For example, if the cloud computing vendor is hosting a school's electronic gradebook and the vendor has had a hardware failure, grades may not be able to be entered until the cloud computing vendor has recovered from the hardware failure. This could be really painful at the end of a quarter or semester. A technology that is expected to be implemented significantly in the next 12 months is mobile learning. Mobile learning consists of accessing learning material on virtually any device at any time. Tablets such as iPads and smartphones are making accessing learning materials easy and economical. Not only are the devices becoming more common, but applications for education designed to run on these devices are getting created with more capabilities. Mobile learning also promises anywhere, anytime access for students to their material. The ability to access notes, textbooks, and reference materials online anywhere and anytime is a big advantage. Mobile devices and their applications can allow students to study nearly everywhere and nearly any time. For example, the student can work on their reading assignment in the car while traveling to soccer practice. Some of the new capabilities being added to learning applications that leverage these new mobile platforms include the ability to share notes with other classmates, ability for the teacher to suggest reading material based on the individual student's capabilities, and the ability to access word definitions in line with the reading material. A recent study with English as a foreign language students indicated that there was a positive correlation between English comprehension and the use of this new technology and new software capabilities. Mobile learning allows teachers access to metrics to know if a student has accessed certain material or how much time was spent on some assignment. An example of how mobile learning gives teachers access to metrics not otherwise possible is if a textbook is online, the teacher can determine student by student if a particular section of the textbook was accessed by that student. One disadvantage of mobile devices is the expense of the devices. This could be a barrier for some students unless provided by the schools. Another disadvantage is that these devices are easy to damage and easy to lose. Also, mobile devices can access the internet, so it can be easy for students to get distracted. The technology of learning analytics is expected to have widespread adoption in the next 2 to 3 years. This technology can be summarized as using data about learning to improve learning. Other technologies are making this technology possible. The concept of data analytics is not new, but there is now a volume of data that is being collected so that statistically valid correlations can be achieved. Much of this is possible by other technologies such as mobile learning. Using the volumes of data collected about students and their performance, strong correlations between teaching techniques can be. An example of this type of learning analysis occurred with a website called Khan Academy. Khan Academy has had for some time a section that students can use to learn and practice problems with fractions. Using analytics, Khan Academy knew how much time the average student spends working on fractions in this section. Khan Academy also knew the average number of times a student returns to this same section. Khan Academy made a small change to their website in the fractions section. They then could compare the before and after statistics on this section to determine if the change had any effect on how much time and how often students returned to the fractions section. Because the volume of students was so high, it was statistically valid correlation between the change made to the website and the amount of time spent on this section. Khan Academy added the simple statement, "The more you learn today, the smarter you'll be tomorrow," to the fractions section of their website. This single statement increased the time spent and how often students returned to the website by 5%. This was over 250,000 users. Without learning analysis, it would be very difficult to measure the effect on learning of such a small change. There is always the risk about data about student performance could be misused or misinterpreted. At all costs, student privacy must be protected.